for me, this is just the beginning of the biggest stage, and I'm going to work myself onwards and upwards. A bit strange to kind of start with Kona, as that is the biggest race, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am Jools Beardon here in Flagstaff, Arizona, and together with my team we're training for Ironman Hawaii in Kona.
Second week in our altitude camp now, preparing for Kona. It's coming really quickly around, and we're now going into like the tougher part of the camp. Really Ironman specific, tough sessions, tough weeks coming ahead before we will then go to Kona like 2 weeks early before the race. So just in the middle of the hard work, preparing now for Kona.
So the last few months I've been ramping up my training quite a bit. So now I'm actually training at a decent level. So it's the first time in a long time where I actually feel like I'm gonna get ready for a race. The races I've done so far, it's been more like racing to get ready to racing, but now I feel like I've done quite a lot of good decisions in a row, and that's compounding, and now, yeah, kind of getting ready for Kona.
The last few months have been, I would say, so-so. Obviously, huge disappointment with the race in Paris, and yeah, that was like a race that we prepared for like a year and a half, 2 years. So to come out of that race with the disappointment was obviously not that fun, but since then I changed my focus quite quickly towards validating my slot in Frankfurt, and obviously a nice surprise to be able to take the European Championship title there. Physically I'm feeling, I would say, good, and mentally feeling good now. I'm like hungry for Kona, and I feel we've been having like a good rhythm on the training over the last couple of weeks, so excited for what's to come. After Frankfurt, we also went to a country we have never visited before, Uzbekistan.
Racing in Uzbekistan was amazing. It was kind of like a boys' trip there with me and Kristian and Roj, our photographer and good friend.
They had a challenge race there in Samarkand. First, it was planned that Gustav was going there on the way to Flagstaff, and I also wanted to join him on that journey and tick off another country and get like see a new place and see a new culture. Yeah, we had like a great week there.
And it was super nice because the organization had fixed the same hotel for all the competitors. So it was like a friendly rivalry the whole week there. Mixed in a bit of culture, a bit of, yeah, an exciting new country, and it was an amazing week.
Great to also be able to take first and second there, even though it wasn't like the biggest field. It was like a great race and great course and great fun. Everything was really well organized and a good journey. Yeah, also good to be back racing with Gustav.
So we are in Flagstaff. This is the start of we're now 14 days practically out into the camp. It's the first high intensity session for the guys, and it's what some people would call a double threshold day. It's not entirely, because we have a threshold work on the bike, but we have a high intensity session on, or let's say a progressive high intensity session on the run. So basically how the run is going to be today is that we start off with a little bit longer intervals around altitude, so very controlled, and then basically progressing through VO2 steady state and then ultimately to VO2 max. One of the things when you do specialization for Ironmans is that obviously you need to have a solid volume in the bottom, but also the other side also it's still important, even though specificity is key, is to make sure that you're not limited in terms of specificity by also that you're not able to do a little bit higher intensity workouts, because also that's going to create the roof for how high you can also go on the specificity. So keeping this balance is important, and we're not going to have many of these sessions here in Flagstaff, but we're going to have some before we really get into the more specific work, which we're going to prepare them for Kona, and working even more on the efficiency part of it. So capacity is there, power is there, but now we also need to gradually start transitioning to working really much more also on the efficiency to bring up that part for Kona.
Typically a normal day is swim, bike and run. depends which session we're starting off with. Like yesterday, we started off with some intervals on the run in the morning, a relatively short one from threshold to VO2, 8K in total of Acworth, 17 in total of the whole run session, and then went to the pool, did almost 4.5K. Quite consistent.
Consistency is really the key, and especially being out of consistent training for a while, and I can maybe push through one good session. Now I know that it's not about that one session. It is about day in, day out, and just doing the things that are right. I think with more consistent training and less of a ego booster session, I think that's the way to go in the future. I think Olav is here holding the reins. I mean, the horse has to run by itself, but you need to kind of steer the horse into the direction that you want.
We started with heat training back in 2018. First, as preparation going into Abu Dhabi, like the first race of the year, normally warmer condition than a Norwegian winter, and then we saw a big gain in like fitness by doing a proper heat training at home in Bergen. Try to sort of use it not just as a part of a heat preparation for warmer races, but also as part of a tapering process for cooler races.
We do heat training mostly in blocks, so it can be like a couple of months without any heat training, and then we try to block it up a little bit like altitude training. So we say that heat training is a poor man's altitude. So it has great effect on training, but you have to do it structured, and you have to know what you're after, and have to know how hot or warm you're gonna get. So that's why core is a great benefit, because you know exactly what temperature you get up to. And it wasn't before 2020 we started using the core sensor, and that just made everything a lot simpler. Before we had a lot of hassle with the temperature pills and everything, but with the core sensor, just strap it to the heart rate monitor, and it's as easy as that.
If we can increase the efficiency, it means basically that one of the things that we will also be able to combat is that on the one side we work on the thermodynamics of the suits, but actually what happens also when you increase the efficiency of the body as well is that you also start to produce less heat for the same power output, let's say for the same speed output. And that is crucial, especially in a race like Kona, where you have such long distances, 226 kilometers in total, and more than 40 kilometers of that is when it's really getting hot in the day, and they're running on top of that. So swimming, obviously on the water, you get fairly good cooling from the water, even though it's hot. The bike, you have good speeds, so let's say just the wind speed that comes over the body as you are racing helps cooling you down, but the running part of it, this is basically where you just need to battle. Aerodynamics is the biggest enemy in the cycling. Also heat there, but in running then it's the switch the opposite. Then thermodynamics is the most important and aerodynamics is less important. The program for an elite athlete is very packed. Like it's very hard to take an athlete and justify that we're going to fly to a place where there's a velodrome or where there's a wind tunnel and do the testing there. Ideally we want to have training that is as little obstructed as possible, as natural as possible. So when we are here in Flagstaff, and because of our partners with Core and Body Rocket and Surpass, it allows us basically for them to send the suits over here. We can take the system out in the field, and on training sessions we are able to collect data. The benefit of that again is that we can take that data, we can give it back to Surpass again, and then they can implement that into the suits.
Yeah, I think it's good to still be curious what you can improve even this close to the race. I think, yeah, of course, you should have been more ready position-wise now, but it's just like minor tweaks to optimize the performance. And I'm not afraid of doing something new on race day. That's like the #1 rule for age groupers, I guess, that don't ever try something new on race day. But for me, if I think something is faster or better, I have no issue throwing out old and in with a new, pretty close by to race day, just because I want to have the fastest kit or position as possible.
Here in Flagstaff we have obviously the altitude, which is around 2,000 meters. It's quite flat, so when we're riding on Lake Mary it's quite consistent elevation. It's also great stretches for like TT riding, but it's like rolling terrain a little bit like we will have in Kona. It's been a lot of crosswind here as well, so it's like forcing me to stay in the air position and working on that position, especially on the bike, is more same as we will be facing in Kona in terms of the pedal phase, and just like constantly be in one position and being comfortable there, both with the shoulders but also like with the glutes and the quads and the muscles. A win in Kona will feel, I guess it will save the year a little bit, as I failed the first big goal, so it will mean that I can be some sort of satisfied with the 2024 still. And of course it's the most iconic race we have in the sport. I came third there 2 years ago, struggled quite a bit on the run there, and really had to fight for that third place, and in one way it felt like I sort of managed to defend my podium, as I was under pressure from the guys behind, but also it's you do want to come down and sort of be the first one to cross the finish line, and this is the time to get revenge from that race. So 2 years of waiting. Of course the goal is to be as fit as I can possibly be for the 26th of October.
It's a bit scary getting back on the biggest stage. Like I know, and other people know how I been performing before, and obviously you're going to be measured up by your previous performances. So it's a bit like, setting myself up a little bit for disappointment, but it's also good to know where I am. And for me, this is just the beginning of the biggest stage, and I'm going to work myself onwards and upwards. So it's a bit strange to kind of start with Kona, as that is the biggest race, but I'm looking forward to it.
2022, Gustav became Ironman World Champion in Kona. Fantastic, he set a course record, a solid one. It was a peak, absolutely, in his career.
Success in Kona is really hard to define. I think I'm a very emotional racer and athlete, and I based a lot of my decisions on feelings, even though we are highly scientific, but it's difficult to hide your personality in your daily life. So success can be a lot of things. If I do better than 5th, I would say it's almost undeserved, because my training has not been near what I did in 2022. So then I realized I'm just a talent, and now training is really affecting my performance. And I don't want to be a talent, I want to be the guy that works smarter and harder than everyone else.
So 2023 came, and he lost his mother in May. After Kona, and then obviously with all the things there, and you get time to reflect on over the year that have passed by, also where he knew his mother was sick. There's a lot of things flushing in, and bouncing back from this also just shows one of the capabilities of Gustav.
I think the whole team around me has been really supportive in my decisions and my life and everything. Kristian might come off as a bit like a machine sometimes, that he's not emotional or not human in one way, but he's also been super supportive, and when I've been struggling in training, he's been like very understanding, and the same with Olav and the whole group. So it's been really nice to be feeling the support from everyone. All my sponsors have also been super supportive. To know that they have my back and to know that they think I will come back to the top has really also been helping me.
One thing I'm sure, and one thing that have changed, I would say, since last Kona and for the future for Gustav, is that Gustav is a much more robust and resilient person now than he has ever been before. But also, this makes me a little bit emotional because I care quite a lot about the boys. But where I have to say that seeing also that Gustav, how emotional he can be on the one side, but also be able to, let's say, let the emotions flow and be emotional, and then at the same time also switching the head and being super professional when he needs to be. That is a superhuman strength.
I don't think motivation and mental struggles and those kind of things is a light switch. And I think if you're seeking improvement from one day to the next, you will find yourself disappointed. I've been working with myself together with different people to get where I am now. So I can't say it's a light switch that just switched and I was ready to be the greatest in triathlon again. It's more like a work in progress, and that's how it is with basically all aspects of life. You really have to work to get where you want, and nothing comes for free unless it's something you don't want. So all the hard parts are hard to work towards, and that's what I've been doing.